My name is Lilly. And I never imagined that the man I loved for 3 years would one day humiliate me in the most public, brutal way possible. But he did. And that day, something inside me broke, and something else woke up. It all started on a Saturday evening at Ava's birthday party. She was one of our mutual friends, someone who always hosted fancy little get-togethers with fairy lights, wine, and a dress-to-impress dress code. I wore a navy blue satin dress Lucas had complimented in the past. I even curled my hair, just the way he liked it. I was nervous and excited. Lucas had been distant for the past few weeks, but I figured maybe tonight, we'd talk. Maybe things would go back to normal. But I was wrong. Lucas arrived late, walking in like he owned the place, in his signature blazer and smug grin. He kissed me on the cheek but didn't hold my hand. He chatted up the room like a celebrity, laughing with girls he once claimed were just friends. I tried not to overthink it. I played my part, smiling, sipping wine, pretending everything was okay. Until it wasn't. It happened when Ava asked us to share stories, funny moments, embarrassing ones, things that showed how well we all knew each other. I was mid-laugh when Lucas stood up with a champagne flute in hand and said, "I've got one." Everyone turned to him. He grinned. "This is about Lilly. My lovely girlfriend, or should I say, ex-girlfriend." My heart dropped. "What?" I laughed nervously, thinking it was a joke. But he continued. "We've had a good run, right?" he said, looking at me with empty eyes. "But I think it's time we both admit it's over. I mean, come on. You've been a bit clingy. Obsessed with me, really. And I need space. Real space." There was stunned silence. My cheeks burned. I felt every pair of eyes turn to me, waiting for me to react. I tried to breathe. "Lucas," I said, voice trembling, "what are you?" He raised a hand. "Let me finish. I just think it's time I upgrade. You've been, well, comfortable. But not exciting. I've outgrown this. No hard feelings, yeah?" A few people gave awkward laughs, assuming it was a joke. But I could see the truth in his smug face. "I mean, let's be honest," he added. "A girl who works at a coffee shop and lives with 2 cats isn't exactly what I see in my future." Laughter. Real, cruel laughter, some from his friends, others out of discomfort. I stood there, frozen. I could feel the tears building behind my eyes, but I refused to let them fall. Not here. Not in front of him. I grabbed my purse and walked out, heels clicking sharply on the floor. No one followed. Not even Ava. Outside, the cold air slapped me harder than his words ever could. I leaned against a lamppost, shaking with fury, shame, and heartbreak. I kept replaying the scene in my head, how smug he looked, how easily he discarded me like I was disposable. Like I was nothing. But Lucas had no idea who he had just humiliated. Because the truth was, I knew things. Things he never imagined I'd speak of. He thought I was the quiet, forgiving type. The one who'd cry, maybe send a few regretful texts, and then disappear. But not this time. Not after the cheating. Not after the lies. Not after the money he borrowed and never returned. Not after the time I found the second phone hidden in his gym bag. I walked home that night with a fire in my chest. Every step I took was a vow. He wanted to play games? I'd play too. But I'd play smarter. And by the time I reached my apartment door, I had already unlocked the folder I kept on my phone, screenshots, photos, voice notes. Proof. Evidence. Receipts. He wanted to embarrass me in public? Then I'd expose him to the world. Not out of revenge. Out of truth. Because people like Lucas always thought they were untouchable, until someone dared to hit post. By morning, I wasn't crying. I wasn't heartbroken. I was focused. I brewed my coffee, opened my laptop, and pulled up the folder I'd been quietly updating for months, a folder labeled "For When He Pushes Me Too Far." Inside it were screenshots of flirty texts he sent to other women, some while we were literally on dates. Photos of him coming out of hotels when he told me he was at the gym. Recordings of phone calls where he slipped and said things he couldn't unsay. I had everything. Because here's the thing about Lucas, he was smart, but arrogant. The kind of guy who thought cheating only mattered if he got caught, and lying was harmless if no one questioned it. He lied so easily, I think sometimes he forgot the truth himself. The cheating was just the beginning. Lucas had a second phone. I found it 6 months ago, hidden under the passenger seat of his car. When I confronted him, he brushed it off as a work phone and made me feel crazy for asking. But the truth came out when I copied the contacts and saw names saved under emojis. Pizza slice, red dress, muscles. I wasn't crazy. He was a walking lie. Then there were his finances. Lucas drove a luxury car, wore designer clothes, and dined in 5-star restaurants. But he had no real job, at least, not the kind that paid what he flaunted. He told everyone he was a consultant, but never explained what he actually did. I knew the truth. He scammed small businesses by offering fake social media growth packages. He'd take half the payment up front, vanish after a month, and ghost his clients. Some were small family-run cafes trying to get noticed online. One was a single mom selling handmade jewelry. I still had the email exchanges and screenshots of his fake business page, deactivated now, of course. He also forged part of his resume. I only found out when he asked me to help format his CV. The degree he claimed to have from Stanford? Never earned. In fact, he dropped out of community college after 1 semester. He even photoshopped his graduation photos, badly. And the worst part? He once borrowed $2,000 from me, said his account was frozen and rent was due. He promised to pay me back within a week. That was 10 months ago. He never paid me back. Every time I brought it up, he made me feel petty. It's just money, babe. Why are you being weird about it, he'd say. I wasn't being weird. I was being used. But not anymore. That morning, I began organizing everything into a timeline. I wrote down dates, added context to screenshots, highlighted inconsistencies. I even recorded a voiceover explaining how I discovered his lies. I created a video, 10 minutes long, cleanly edited, devastatingly honest. No exaggerations. Just truth. With proof. I uploaded it anonymously to a popular Reddit thread known for exposing toxic partners. The title was simple. My ex publicly humiliated me, so here's the truth about him. I didn't expect much. Maybe a few views, a few sympathetic comments. What I got instead was an explosion. Within an hour, the post had over 2,000 upvotes. By the end of the day, it had gone viral. People were tagging each other, sharing the video on Twitter and Instagram. Strangers reached out to me in DMs saying they had encountered Lucas before, some dated him, some were scammed by him, and one even claimed to be his current girlfriend, unaware of the other 6. I had only known about 3. The comments flooded in. This guy's a manipulative sociopath. You did the right thing. Girl, I dated him too. I thought I was crazy for doubting him. He scammed my friend's business last year, took $500 and ghosted. Same fake degree story. This guy's been running this con for years. It was like the floodgates opened. And the best part? Someone tagged the company he had just started working for. A fancy digital marketing agency that had just posted about hiring a brilliant young consultant. Oops. That post disappeared within hours. Then came the email, from a woman claiming to be Lucas's manager. She thanked me for the information and said they were looking into the matter. I didn't respond. I didn't need to. I had done enough. Lucas hadn't just hurt me, he'd hurt countless others. I wasn't out for revenge. I was out for truth. And as I watched the view count climb into the hundreds of thousands, I felt something I hadn't felt in weeks. Power. Control. Peace. Because Lucas had spent years building a house of lies. And I had just lit the match. By Monday morning, my video wasn't just trending, it was making headlines. Buzz-style websites with names like Drama Drop and Truth Unfiltered were posting summaries with titles like Woman exposes her ex with receipts, and it's worse than you think. Serial cheater, fake consultant, total fraud, the internet turns on Lucas. I kept my identity anonymous, but I knew it wouldn't last. Internet sleuths were already piecing things together. Thankfully, I had nothing to hide. My name was clean. My story was real. And every single screenshot was verifiable. Lucas, on the other hand, was unraveling. He started by going silent, disabling comments on his Instagram and disappearing from his stories. But silence only made things worse. People assumed guilt. Former clients started speaking up. A small gym posted on Twitter that he had failed to deliver a digital campaign they paid for months ago. A woman from another state said he consulted for her boutique. Then ghosted after collecting half the payment. Then someone found his LinkedIn. Bad move. They posted a side-by-side comparison of the degree he claimed to have and the graduation list from Stanford's official site. His name? Nowhere to be found. That tweet alone had 25,000 likes in a day. Soon, Lucas's world was crumbling. His new job? Gone. I know because one of his former coworkers DM'd me and said, he walked out of the office screaming. Management confronted him with the video. He didn't even try to deny it. People from his past, women he dated, people he scammed, classmates he lied to, came out like an avalanche. The story had momentum now. It was no longer mine. It belonged to the internet. And then, the final twist. A girl named Hannah messaged me. She said, I don't know if this is weird, but I think I'm his fiancé. At least, I thought I was. I blinked at the message. Fiancé? Hannah sent me photos, him with her, holding hands in front of a house they were saving up for. He told her he was traveling for business when he was actually with me. She was devastated. Not just because of the lies, but because she'd met his family. They were planning a wedding for next year. And yes, he had taken money from her too. $6,000 for investment purposes. She asked if she could share her side. I said yes. 2 days later, Hannah posted her own video. It was heartbreaking. She cried halfway through, voice shaking as she talked about the man she thought she knew. She played voicemails of Lucas promising her forever. Showed photos of engagement rings. Messages from his mother welcoming her into the family. People were stunned. The story went nuclear. Hashtag Lucas the Liar began trending. TikTok creators made reaction videos. Instagram meme pages mocked his fake job titles. A digital artist even drew a cartoon of Lucas falling into a trash can full of red flags. Meanwhile, I stayed quiet. I didn't respond. I didn't fight. I didn't argue. I just watched. One night, I got a call from a blocked number. I let it go to voicemail. His voice was trembling. Lilly, you need to take this down. Please. You don't understand what you've done. People are calling my parents. I'm getting death threats. My career is over. I swear, I didn't mean to hurt you. Just, please. Let's talk. I saved the voicemail. Then I uploaded it, cutting out the number and personal info, and titled it. Now he wants to talk. It racked up 100,000 plays overnight. The thing about the internet is that once the truth is out, you can't unring the bell. You can't lie your way out of a viral truth. Lucas tried to go live to defend himself. Bad idea. He fumbled through a half apology, half denial. Claimed he was misunderstood. That some screenshots were out of context. But people weren't buying it. The comments tore him apart. You publicly humiliated her. She told her story. Own it. You scammed people. You lied. You got caught. Deal with it. The only context here is that you're a fraud. Lucas shut it down within 15 minutes. I could only imagine the storm he was living in now. But here's the truth, I didn't post the video to ruin him. I posted it to free myself from gaslighting, manipulation, humiliation. And in doing so, I discovered I wasn't alone. Dozens, maybe hundreds, of women had been humiliated by someone like him. Someone who thought he'd always get away with it. But not this time. This time, the story belonged to the one who was always silent. Me. Lilly. 2 weeks had passed since the video went viral, and I still hadn't seen Lucas face to face. Until today. I was walking out of the grocery store, just grabbing almond milk and granola, trying to live my life, when I spotted him standing by his car in the lot. Leaning against the hood like some sad ghost from my past. He looked thinner. Haggard. Like he hadn't slept in days. I stopped mid-step. So did he. Lilly, he said, almost like a question. I didn't reply. I could have walked past him. Could have ignored him like he'd ignored all the damage he caused. But I didn't. I walked up, slowly, and said, "What do you want?" His voice cracked. I didn't think it would go this far. I almost laughed. This far? You mean you didn't think people would finally see the real you? He ran a hand through his hair, eyes darting around like he was afraid someone might film this. Which, honestly, would have been poetic. I lost everything, he said. My job. My reputation. My fiancé. Hannah, I cut in. You mean Hannah? The woman you were going to marry while dating me and sleeping with 2 others. He flinched like I'd slapped him. I was messed up, okay, he said, voice rising. I didn't know how to stop. But you tried to destroy me. That was it. That was the moment I realized he still didn't get it. You destroyed yourself, I said flatly. I just posted the truth. You made me a villain. You were a villain. His lips pressed into a thin line. I could see the anger building under his skin, like he was desperate to reclaim control. But he had none. Not anymore. People change, he said. People deserve second chances. I looked him dead in the eyes. People deserve apologies. Accountability. Not excuses. There was a long silence. Then, quietly, he said, "You don't even care what this did to me, do you?" I stared at him for a beat, then stepped closer. Lucas. I cared for you. I cried for you. I defended you when everyone else called you a liar. You manipulated me. You used me. And then, when I was at my lowest, you tried to humiliate me online. He looked down at the pavement. The silence between us was deafening. So I gave him one last truth. I'm not proud that it went viral. But I'm not sorry. Because maybe now the next girl you lie to will think twice. Maybe now, someone else won't waste years trying to love a fraud. I walked away after that. He didn't follow. That night, I got a message from Hannah. We'd stayed in touch since her video dropped. She told me Lucas tried to reach out to her too. I blocked him, she wrote. I'm done living in denial. So were a lot of us. One of the small businesses he scammed, the jewelry seller, started a GoFundMe after sharing her story. People donated thousands. Someone even offered to build her a real website for free. A girl from his past messaged me saying, I thought I was the only one he gaslit. Thank you for showing me I wasn't crazy. And me? I started journaling. Speaking at local women's groups. Even got invited onto a podcast about digital justice. Not because I was some hero. but because I was finally using my voice. Lucas had once humiliated me for sport. But now? Now I was the one in control of the narrative. And I wasn't done yet. 6 months later, everything had changed. Not just for Lucas. For me too. The video that once felt like a desperate outcry became something else, something bigger. A symbol. A story shared in college classrooms, therapy circles, even online safety seminars. Women wrote to me from all over the world. Strangers. Survivors. Sisters in heartbreak. They said, "Thank you for saying what I couldn't." And for the first time in my life, I wasn't just healing. I was helping. I launched a blog, The Truth Table, where people could anonymously share their stories. No names. No revenge. Just voices reclaiming their power. Within weeks, we had thousands of entries. Stories of betrayal. Manipulation. Gaslighting. Survival. What surprised me most? Many came from men too. Turns out, emotional abuse doesn't discriminate. And neither does healing. One day, a blue checkmark DM'd me. It was a journalist from a major media outlet. "We're doing a feature on online truth tellers. You're one of the faces of this movement. Would you be open to an interview?" I hesitated. Not because I was afraid of Lucas. Not anymore. But because I knew once I stepped into that light, I couldn't step back. Then I remembered the girl I used to be. The one who cried in bathrooms and kept secrets for people who wouldn't even keep her name safe. I replied, "Let's talk." When the article dropped, the headline read, "How Lilly Fought Back Against Her Abuser, and Accidentally Sparked a Digital Revolution." Accidentally? Maybe. But the intention was always there: speak the truth. No matter who it upsets. Lucas had tried to make a comeback, quietly. I saw a new account pop up under a different name. A new consulting website, rebranded. But the internet doesn't forget. People flagged it. Shared screenshots. He disappeared again within days. The last I heard, he'd moved cities. Changed his number. He was, once again, trying to start over. I didn't care. Not out of cruelty. But because I was finally free. Not just from him, but from needing his apology, his closure, or his validation. I had mine. And I had one final thing to say. I sat in front of my camera, just like I had the first time. But this time I was smiling. "Hi. My name is Lilly," I said. "Some of you know me from the video that went viral months ago. Some of you lived that story in your own way. Some of you are still afraid to speak." I paused. "This is for you." I talked about how healing isn't always graceful. How some nights still ache. How some memories still sting. But also, how strength builds slowly. How truth sets you free. How you don't need revenge to win. Sometimes, just telling the truth is enough. "I don't hate him," I said softly. "I just finally love myself more." The screen faded to black. And on it, I wrote, "To everyone who's ever been silenced, your story matters. Use your voice. Even if it shakes." That video didn't go viral. And that was okay. Because it didn't need to. It wasn't for everyone. It was for me. But just when I thought it was finally over, I got a message from a stranger that said, "You don't know the half of what he's done, want to see proof?"